It's said that the best offense is quite often a good defense. But sometimes we take that defense, well, a little bit too seriously. You might even say sometimes we can be prone to putting up a defense in an instance where no defense is really needed. And then the result that we end up creating is us becoming somewhat offensive in nature, and for lack of a better way to put it, pissing people off that might have otherwise, been able to be more supportive of us in actually achieving and attaining our goals. Now, it's no surprise right now as we're dealing with an alignment between Mercury, newly in Jyeshtha Nakshatra, Venus in Mula Nakshatra, and Saturn in Purva Bhadrapada, that you're dealing with a situation where it feels to you like you're under a lot of pressure. Basically, Venus and Mercury are both in nakshatras that deal with making it feel to you like things are, well, a little bit close to the edge. And when things are like that, it's very easy for us to imagine either opposition when there isn't any, or pressure when the actual pressure that we might be confronting is manufactured more by our own distorted sense of responsibility. Now, let's kind of review that. Are you responsible for something or someone right now? Well, very likely, yes, you are. You're responsible for coming through in a particular situation, whatever this might relate to for you, which is going to be determined by where these planets are transiting. And I'd be happy to give you some insight on that. If you want to schedule an astrological service with me, you can do that at the link that you'll see above. So the responsibility is there, but you're making that responsibility a mountain when perhaps it's much more of a molehill. And you're doing it because you care, so your heart's in the right place with it. And because you feel like in order to, well, come through with the goods, that you are having to approach things in a specific way, well, you're getting kind of rigid in your thinking. And then those very same people who are trying to offer you support, you see as being oppositional to your way of relating to the situation, when in actuality, you have tons of people that are on your side. It's your own sense of pressure and your own distorted sense of responsibility that's creating the issue that you're dealing with. You're not seeing the situation clearly. Jyeshtha deals on one level and deals with things on many other different levels, as all nakshatras do, but on one level, it deals with oversight and it also deals with insight. Jyeshtha is connected to Indra, who's known as the conqueror. Indra is referred to as the conqueror because he conquered his senses. But throughout all the stories, there are also tales of Indra misperceiving things or becoming very arrogant in his nature in relation to how he perceived things. And with Jyeshtha Nakshatra, there's quite often the tendency to do that. There's a need due to misperception, or I shouldn't say there's a need, there's a tendency due to misperception to bolster what you're feeling insecure about, or I should say, bolster your strength because you're feeling insecure. And that's got you in a position where you're a bit defensive, you're a bit bristly, and you're creating the opposition that ultimately isn't there. And Jyeshtha is connected to the neck. It's really interesting too, because I was trying to decide as I was recording this video, I was going, what's the perspective of this? And right in the middle of doing that, I got like a neck pain, like my neck got stiff. I was like, oh, here we are. It's about rigidity. And nakshatras are great. They always tend to bring us those messages in that particular way. So there's a certain level of rigid thinking that's kind of blocking you from being able to to deal with things appropriately. You're not able to have oversight because you're convinced that you have to see things a certain way. And the more you're convinced that things are a certain way that they're not, well, you're not going to see the battle in front of you to the extent that you actually recognize that there's no battle in front of you at all. You're creating it. The opposition is coming from within you because you won't face the dilemma, which ultimately is you. And no, that doesn't mean you need to go cower away in the corner like a dog that's being punished, right? Instead, it means that you need to accept responsibility in a better way. You're all too ready to feel that you've got this huge weight or this huge burden on your shoulders, but you're not quite as open to accepting the responsibility for the imbalance in terms of how you're seeing things. And when you recognize that the opposition that you're dealing with comes from within rather than without, suddenly that opposition tends to fade. It becomes non existence, and you're left with only clarity. And once you have that clarity, you know precisely what to do. But if you could use a little bit of help from getting from point A to point B, or even point C, D, or E, I'm always happy to help. Astrological consultations are great in giving you the guidance that you need in order to see things as you need to see them, to be able to have the clarity that you need to have to go down the road of life that is laid out before you. And you can schedule in with me at the link that you'll see above. That's going to do it for this look at Mercury in Jyeshtha Nakshatra interacting with Saturn and Venus. And we'll have to shorten that for the title of the video. Until next time, please do take the very best care of yourself. Bye now.